Hi everyone, thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Now today we're going to go through some tips on changing tie rod ends. So today we're going to change this tie rod end on a 2012 Chevy Malibu, and the reason I have to change is I took it for a wheel alignment. This is the same 2012 Malibu that was involved in an accident a few months ago that I showed you, and as a result of the accident I feel that the alignment is out. I got some new tires and I want to make sure that the alignment is okay so the tires don't wear unevenly. Part of that is changing one of the tie rod ends. Now I sent the car to get a wheel alignment done, and the mechanic, who's a great guy and he's awesome, he's honest, told me that can't do the wheel alignment because it needed a wheel bearing and a tie rod end. He said if you wanted him to do it, he was going to do it for $700, which is pretty expensive. And I love the guy and I'd love to pay him, but he knows that I do this kind of work, so he just said, I'll brought it back and you can change the part yourself. Lucky for me. But if you're going to do this job, you can save some money. Now, $700, I went on Rock Auto. I bought a wheel bearing, a decent middle-of-the-road wheel bearing for about, I think it was like 50, 55 bucks, and a tie rod end for 25 or so, I think. So around 80, 90 bucks total. I'll be doing the whole job, so you save about 600 bucks on this particular job. But when you change a tie rod, there are a few things you need to look out for before you even take the part out of the bag. We can see the tie rod is shot because you move the tire like this. It's loose this way. Not this way, up and down. Not this way, this way. If it was this way, it would be something else. Okay. Now a tie rod end comes from the steering control, in this case the rack and pinion or whatever steering is, comes to the spindle on the wheel, and that's what makes it turn. When you turn the steering wheel, this goes in and out to turn your wheel. And as you can see from the movement when I move the spindle, this tie rod end is shot. Now before I even start to take this apart, I want to take the part in the bag that I bought, and I'm going to take the center of the tie rod and I'm just going to line it up with the center of this one, and I'll make sure it's the right length. If I take it out of the bag, it's too late, I can't return it, so this one is the right length, so now I can proceed. First things first is safety. Never rely on your jack. Make sure the vehicle is properly supported with a jack stand or whatever you need to do, but you want to make sure it doesn't fall. Here's a better angle of it. You can see the tie rod moving here. Loose. Alright, our first tip, make sure you have the right part. Second tip, I want to release the jam nut here, and it might take a little work. I sprayed some liquid wrench on there just to make it easier to break. Now I don't want to back it up too much. Don't go a whole bunch of turns, because I want to use this as a stop when I put the new tie rod on. So I just want to make sure that this is broken and that it's loose. So I'm going to put it right back where it was. At least I know that it's loose. Now I have to get the nut off the bottom of the tie rod. There's a hex on the bottom here where you can put a socket on the bottom and a wrench on the top here. Now before I get out the impact wrench, I'll try and get it out first using the old college dry. And sometimes they break first thing. Lucky. My lucky day. If the nut gets stuck, don't force it. Push it back on and clean off the threads. Now it was loose, but a little tap and it'll come right out. Now even though I'm going to leave the jam nut in place to put the tie rod back on, you want to get a measurement from the nut to the center of the tie rod just to make sure you're making this the same length. So I'm going to take a quick measurement here from the nut to the center. Is just about 5 and 5/8 it looks like. I can lift up my tie rod just like that, and depending on your vehicle, it might be right-handed thread, left-handed thread. Sometimes they're tough to get off, but luckily this one is loose, so I can just unscrew it. this part is completely up to you. The jam nut that's on there, the tie rod does come with a new jam nut. You can change the jam nut. This one's in really good shape. I was able to break it free. I'm just going to spray a little penetrating oil on there, so if I ever have to change it again, it'll be easy to get off. But this one lasted 120,000 miles, so I'm not going to have the car that much longer. So I'm going to leave that on there because I have a good measurement. And the tie rods, the one that I took out, if I line them up, they're exactly the same length. So if I screw this in to that depth right there, I have a good chance of making sure I don't screw up my alignment. It'll be the same length. Also, you can see the difference here. You see a little difference in the diameter of the ball joint, tie rod end. So this one, the one that was on the originally came with it, is a little bigger, and this one has a grease fitting. This one's sealed. So I did pre-lube this, so this is already filled with grease. So when I put it on, I don't have to worry about greasing it when I get it on there. So I'll be able to just screw this on. Whoops. I'll be able to just screw this on and line it up. So here we go. Now I got right to there, and it hit the jam nut, and you can see it's 180 degrees out. So you have a choice. You can turn the jam nut out a little bit and go all the way around, or go the other way. Now I'm going to go this way because remember I loosened that jam nut up, and there could be a little play in there. So I'm going to go this direction. Plus I'm going to have the car aligned anyway, so this jam nut is really close to being where it needs to be. So now I can do that. Alright, now so when I broke this off, it didn't take 100 foot-pounds to put this back on. So I'm just going to put this on just tight enough. And this is a locking nut, so it should stay there. Now it's installed. I'm just going to take my crescent wrench and just make sure it's straight, meaning vertical up and down, like that, just like that. Okay. Now I'm just going to tighten out my jam nut. Alright, so there we have it. It only took about a half an hour. If you have a little hard time getting it off, it might take you a little bit longer. And if you do have a hard time getting any of those, the nut off the bottom or anything like that, or there's a cotter pin or something, just put some heat on it, put a propane torch, heat it up, and get it off. So it's not a big deal. Now, I talk all the time about mechanics you can trust. And I said I have a mechanic I can trust. As a matter of fact, the guy I asked to do the wheel alignment said, hey, you need a new tie rod end and a new wheel bearing. So I trust him. He's a great guy. If you're in the Buffalo area and you can't do this kind of work yourself, give Dan a call at Heddigs. Tell him Peter recommended him, and take your car to them. He's a guy you can trust. He'll do the work the best he can, and he'll make sure that you get what you need, the parts you need, and only the parts you need. He does a fantastic job. I'm just giving him a recommendation because I think he's a great guy. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Remember those tips. Now, I guess I should go over the tips, right? First tip, anytime you're working on your car, safety first. Make sure you're supporting the vehicle. Before you take the part out of the bag, hold it up, make sure it's the same size, especially on tie rods because they do come different lengths. When you take it off, the jam nut, use it as a reference. Measure with a ruler and make sure you get the center in the same spot. When you put it back on, you can recheck. Now, I didn't measure that one because I was using the jam nut and I was pretty sure it was okay. And when I got it on, you could see that it was out of rotation. So I put it on and had to rotate it another turn. So I'm still going to have the wheels aligned. I just wanted to get it changed so he can do the wheel alignment. So check the part, make sure that it's centered, put it back together. You don't have to horse it together, and then take it for a ride. I just drove it and it feels great. I hope those tips help you, and I hope you can save some money in the long term. Thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage.